We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own. EC plans to send Argentina $20 billion in economic assistance. And what does Argentina do? They cut their export taxes and sold shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, farmers right here in Arkansas are left behind with falling prices and no market. I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life, until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us. Politicians like Tom Cotton are letting DC put Argentina over places like Arkansas. As a farmer myself, that is something I would not allow. I will fight for trade policies that put Arkansas farmers first.
So let me get this straight. Trump runs his mouth as usual, pisses off China. China then goes and buys soybeans from Argentina instead of us. Our farmers get screwed. Their profits vanish, and now they're begging for a bailout just to survive. Am I getting that right? And what does the American first president do? Does he send the money to help the farmers? Fuck no. He ships $20 billion to Argentina instead, while our farmers struggle to survive. Can somebody please tell me how this is America first? Because it seems to me like America last, and everybody but his diehard cultists can see it.
American farmers have destroyed themselves by voting for this Trump regime. Their hate for so many groups of people that they have learned to demonize allowed them to vote themselves out of business by voting for Donald Trump and today's MAGA Republicans. I don't know what else to say. We already know how the American soybean farmer was decimated. This fall, China, their biggest customer, placed exactly 0 orders for soybeans from American farmers because of Donald Trump's regime's tariffs. They went to Brazil. We all saw the videos of the farmers crying in Arkansas, I believe it was. Please, Mr. President, we love you, but come save us. Oh, you guys, it just gets so much worse.
Greetings, my lovely people, and once again, welcome back to my channel. So today we are witnessing one of the painful ironies in American politics and economies. What you are seeing now isn't just about soybeans or trade, but it's about betrayal. It's about farmers who voted for someone who promised them prosperity only to watch him send billions to their competitors, and now they are left with rotting harvest and broken promises. American farmers were being warned that Trump's trade war would destroy their markets, but they ignored that, because most of them voted out of racism. The idea of having a black president in White House did not sit well with most of them. And today, that price of that decision is finally here. So let's get to see the reactions. Then we add more commentary, all right? Let's dive into it.
I don't think it's really hit home the amount of damage that Donald Trump has done to our farmers. Yeah, I don't think people have, including our farmers, have really had it sink in yet what's happened. Other nations, like Argentina and Brazil, have all expanded their soybean production. There's no fixing this. Those markets aren't coming back. China's not coming back to us to buy the way they once did. This is permanently broken. And I honestly, I actually don't know that it's going to make a difference with farmers. Because I've never met anybody that was MAGA. I never met somebody that painted Trump on the side of their barn that didn't put that cult first, even over their farms. I really don't believe that they're going to come back to reality and do what needs to be done, which is to put Democrats back in power, to even remotely have a chance of recovering any of those markets.
So you know how our $20 billion in taxes, yours, Mr. Farmer, and mine, was just snatched from us and given to the leader of Argentina to help keep their version of Donald Trump in power, your 20 billion and my 20 billion. This was screenshot on our Department of Treasury's cell phone from our Department of Agriculture. Ready? Finally, just a heads up, I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate, the text said. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, and in return, the Argentines are removing their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. And he responds, Besant responds, on a plane, Scott, but I'll call you when I land. You guys voted for this. The Democrats who y'all hate so much, you've been programmed to hate your fellow neighbor, your family members. You guys voted for this. We warned all of you because we're not in a cult. We could see how these decisions affect businesses, affect our farmers. We were fighting for farmers, telling you don't vote for this, and you voted for this. Your tax dollars, this Trump administration just used to fuck you even further. Mr. Soybean farmer and grains. This affects a lot of other farmers, not just soybean farmers. Anybody who harvests and sells grains to China. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I need you blue state liberals to stop calling the farmers who voted for their own personal financial ruin stupid. It's infantilizing. They aren't stupid. To actually manage a farm effectively requires insane depths of knowledge in math, science, logistics. These people aren't dumb. But what they are learning, for I think in some cases the first time in their lives, is how expensive racism is. They heard Trump loud and clear when he said that he would deport their labor force and that he would tariff essentially all of the inputs they need to run their facilities. And they absolutely heard him when he claimed over and over again that the US gave too much to the world in aid, and therefore those aid streams, which most often include the food these farmers grow, would be cut. They heard it all. They just didn't believe it. They thought this was just Trump 1.0 and there would be enough adults in the room to say, hey, this is reckless. We can't do this because it will dismantle the economy. Yeah, a lot of farmers were hurt during the first Trump administration. Thanks to his reckless trade wars, particularly with China, a lot of them went bankrupt. And the bailouts that originally happened under Trump's first term didn't mostly even go to these small-scale farmers. It ended up going to big agribusiness. And I have a feeling, if past is prologue, we're going to see that happen again if bailouts happen at all. Because the reality is these people do not actually want to save these small-scale farms. People in this admin, like J.D. Vance, very specifically invested in things like Acre Trader. Their goal is for these farmers to go bankrupt so that they can consolidate, buy up huge swaths of their land, and make a fortune. So I'm not gonna lie to you, there is very little incentive for anybody in this administration to actually give these farmers a bailout, no matter how angry and white and male they are. I doubt there are any farmers listening to this at the moment, but the billionaires do not care about you. They actually just want to take your stuff. So even if a bailout does come, and I doubt an effective one will, but if it does, it is going to be meager enough to keep these people in dire financial straits. Because the goal of a lot of these billionaires and investment firms is to make them desperate enough to sell. So you can say goodbye to small-scale family farms, that's for sure. What's kind of funny about this is that Let's Go Brandon tried to bail you out for real. And that's probably the last time anyone will, so.
Republicans in farm country are utterly livid at the Trump administration for an, frankly, inscrutable, utterly outrageous bailout that it made to Argentina last week. But why are farmers angry? So here's why. Because of Trump's trade war with China, China has bought 0 soybeans from American farmers this year. China eats about 2/3 of all the soybeans around the world. Last year, China, I think, accounted for about 52% of soybean purchases. So in other words, without China buying soybeans from U.S. farmers, our farmers are utterly screwed. Now, the only other real alternatives for China are, one, to grow them in China, and they're trying to do that long term, but really to purchase them from Brazil and also Argentina. Most of what they get, when they're not getting it from us, comes from Brazil, but Argentina is also a huge producer of soybeans. So last week, the Trump administration announced a $20 billion bailout of Argentina because Trump said he's supporting his friend in the upcoming election, Javier Milei. Javier Milei, you might remember, this is Elon Musk's buddy who did like a Doge type move on Argentina, and he drove the Argentinian economy into the ground, now needs a massive bailout. So Trump is offering this $20 billion lifeline. The same day that Trump and Besant announced this lifeline, Reuters reports that Argentina is now shipping massive amounts of soybeans to China and cut its export taxes to zero. In other words, the American money that we're sending to Argentina is making up the gap. So Argentina now doesn't have to charge these export fees on its soybeans, so China gets a huge discount. So China is out there scrambling, trying to find soybeans to feed its population without buying American soybeans because they're in a trade war that we started with them. And Trump just made it much cheaper and easier for China to buy those from Argentina. Now, there's another brutal aspect to this that isn't getting any coverage, and it's that American hedge funds invested heavily in Argentina after Milei was elected because they thought that his libertarian slash everything approach to the economy was actually going to turn things around and make Argentina a good investment. It didn't work at all. The economy collapsed. And so these American hedge funds were about to lose billions and billions of dollars on these stupid investments. But now Besant, a former hedge fund guy, is the Treasury Secretary now, is coming in, and thanks to the bailout, the hedge funds are actually going to make a profit. And the final piece of this is that this is not the first time that Trump has done this to soybean farmers. The first time he was president, he started a trade war with China, and China responded by not buying soybeans from American farmers. And China instead told Brazil, we want to up our purchases from you. And then they actually started investing and helping Brazil build more highways, and they're putting more than $200 million into this port of Santos to help create capacity so that they can massively expand production of soybeans and exports to China. So they've basically almost doubled production from 2017 to today, Brazil has. And of course, all of these Brazilian soybeans that are being produced now are coming at the expense of the Amazonian rainforest, which was chopped down in order to make room for them. So awesome. Everybody's winning.
American soybean farmers, let's have a chat. One farm family to another. Are you aware that Trump is planning to send $20 billion to Argentina to bail them out? All because his buddy is running for re-election. He wants to make sure he gets re-elected. He's bailing them out. Plus, Argentina just made a humongous deal with China and took your biggest soybean market. So now China, they don't need any American soybeans. They get everything they need from Argentina. Plus, Argentina is getting your tax dollars to bail them out. Trump doesn't plan to give you any bailout. He said maybe when the tariffs start paying off that he'd give you a little something, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that one because we've all figured out by now, right? That's a tax on the consumer. And that's what's killing your farm. Yeah. I didn't vote for this, and I never have, and I never would. I can't stand Donald Trump. Real curious how some of you can still support this. Can't see that he's just continuing to stab you in the back. I have a feeling a lot of you voted for this because you didn't want to see undocumented immigrants come to this country and take American jobs, but they didn't have to come in this country to take your job. Donald Trump just handed it to them on a silver platter, and your tax money too. He does not care about you. What's it going to take for you to realize that?
Hey everybody, well there it is folks. Argentina is selling all of their soybeans to China now because of the tariffs that Trump has initiated against other countries. And it's not that Trump has initiated tariffs on soybeans to China or anything like that. It's just China's like, we don't need you. So there it is, $47 billion that would have gone to the 500,000 American soybean farmers are now going to Argentina. Now, American farmers, almost 80% of them voted for Trump. So if you have 500,000 soybean farmers, that means 400,000 of them who are now on the verge of going bankrupt voted for Trump. And I saw in another TikTok video, I'm not prepared to talk about it, but this guy was really good. I really should give him a shout out. I will in the notes or something. He came across my feed that there's this company called Acre Trader. And guess what they specialize in? They specialize in buying up distressed farms. Guess who's a major shareholder in that? J.D. Vance. So, while America is giving $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their government, American farmers are out of almost $50 billion. Not a single Chinese order has been cut on soybean farms this year. It's absolutely incredible. And Trump is destroying the American farmer. It's just crazy.
American farmers, who are once the backbone of America's economy, have been reduced to begging for bailouts that truly never arrives. They were promised prosperity and better trade deals. They were promised that America would win again. But Argentina farmers are smiling all the way to the bank, shipping soybeans to China, while the American farmers are struggling with falling prices and unsold soybeans. So these farmers supported Donald Trump in 2016 and again in 2020, are believing that his Make America First rhetoric would secure their future, but instead, what did they get? They got trade wars, tariffs, and a devastating shift of global markets away from the United States. The warning signs were clear. When we weaponize trade against China, China will simply look elsewhere, all right? So many voted out of racism. And now that choice is costing them everything. The racism they embraced has backfired on them because hatred cannot pay the bills and prejudice cannot replace lost markets. So him bailing out Argentina farmers shows once again that loyalty from his base does not guarantee loyalty in return. The message is clear. American farmers were useful for votes, but disposable when it comes to policy. So China right now is gone. It has moved on. And Argentina farmers are not thriving, while American farmers are stuck crying for bailouts that may never come, This is a sobering reminder that democracy has consequences, and the votes we cast shapes how our future are going to look like, For American farmers, the future is now bleak, because they chose a leader who cared more about power and politics than survival. So the question is, will they learn from this, or will they continue down the same road, hoping for different results? Because history has shown us time and time again that when you let hate guide your politics, it is not your enemies that suffer. It is you who suffers the most, all right? So I think this serves as a good example to them, and this is going to shape how they are going to vote in future, all right? Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.